Do you ever feel like you're going crazy learning to code? You spend hours on tutorials, you understand what a for loop is, you even know what a variable does, and can even explain what an if-else statement is for. But when you close that tutorial and you open up a blank file to start your own project, nothing. Your mind just goes blank. If you feel like you're stuck in this loop of learning syntax but never being able to build anything, I promise you, you are not alone. And the reason you're stuck has almost nothing to do with memorizing more code. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of what programming actually is. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the mindset shift that turns struggling students into confident developers. So, that feeling you have, that's what we'll call the syntax trap. It's this belief that if you just learn one more framework, one more programming language feature, or one more command, everything will just finally click. You think, maybe, if I master JavaScript promises, then I'll be able to build that web app. But it never happens. The trap is thinking that programmers are just people who have memorized this massive dictionary of code. We see expert developers writing code so quickly and we assume they have every function and method stored in their brain. But that's not what's happening. They haven't memorized more, they just understand the real skill. And that skill is problem solving. At its heart, every line of code is part of a solution to a problem. A problem can be anything from how do I calculate the total for a shopping cart to how do I get this rocket to land on Mars? Let's use an analogy. Imagine you want to be a car mechanic. You can spend months memorizing the name of every tool. This is the socket wrench, this is the Phillips head screwdriver, this is the torque wrench. You know what they do, but if a car comes in making a weird noise, all that knowledge is useless unless you can diagnose the problem. You need to listen, think critically, and break the problem down. Is the sound coming from the engine or the wheels? Does it happen when I accelerate? The tools that you have are just what you use after you figured out the solution. As a programmer, code is your set of tools. The syntax, the functions, the libraries, they are all your wrenches and screwdrivers, but your real job as a programmer is to be the mechanic, the problem solver. This brings us to something that terrifies a lot of new computer science students and programmers: math. As a former student advisor, I get so many questions on why do so many computer science degrees or IT degrees require you to take years of high-level math? And it's not because you'll be calculating derivatives to build a website. The reason is that math is the ultimate problem-solving gym for your brain. When you solve a complex math proof, you aren't just finding an answer, you are learning a process. You start with what you know, the givens, you have a clear goal, what you need to know, and you must use a series of logical, sequential, airtight steps to get from the start to the finish. That process is the exact same process as building a program. Math trains you to think logically, to break down huge, impossible-looking problems into small, manageable logical steps. It builds your problem-solving muscles. Alright, so how do you actually get better at this? It's not enough to just know it. You have to practice it. Here are 3 practical things you can start doing today. First, plan your code in English. Before you write a single line of code, open a text document or grab a notebook and write out your steps in plain English. This is called pseudocode. For example, if you want to build a simple to-do list app, you would write, when the user types a task in the input box and clicks add, then grab the text from the input box, create a new list item element, set the content of that new item to the text, and then add that new item to the main list on the screen. See? We just designed the entire logic without any code. Now, writing the actual code is just a simple translation job. Second, use coding challenge websites. Websites like LeetCode, HackerRank, and Code Wars are like a weight room for programmers. They give you small, self-contained problems that force you to think logically. Start with the easiest problems. The goal isn't to solve FANG-level interview questions on day 1. The goal is to get reps in, to practice that cycle of understanding a problem, planning a solution, and then coding it. Third, build tiny projects. Forget about building the next Facebook. Your goal is to solve a tiny problem. For example, problem: I always forget how much to tip. Solution: build a simple tip calculator. Problem: I need to choose a random person from a list to win a prize. Solution: build a simple random name picker. These projects are small enough that you won't get lost, but they force you to go through the entire problem-solving process from start to finish. So, if you're feeling stuck, it's time to shift your focus. Stop asking, what syntax do I need to learn, and start asking, what problem am I trying to solve? Embrace the struggle of staring at a problem and not knowing the answer right away. That's not failure, that is the actual work of a programmer. The coding part is just the final step. You are not a code writer, you are a problem solver who uses code as your tool. Once you make that mental shift, I promise you, everything will start to click. Alright y'all, if this video helped you, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel out. And I also want to hear from you. Comment below with your biggest problem that you've struggled with when you're trying to build your own project. Let's talk about it. And finally, subscribe for more content on software development tips and discussions. Thanks for watching, and I'll check y'all out in the next one.